Okay, in this final video in this series, we're going to look at how to facilitate a power mapping workshop. So the first step in a power mapping workshop is to get as much information out of people's heads as quickly as possible and visualize it. So how do we do that? Well, one way I recommend is to rotate roles. So in each phase, one person plays the role of a storyteller, and the rest are scribes. So the storyteller's role is to talk, is to say as much as they know about this issue, about who matters, about how decisions are made, and everyone else are the scribes. They are the interviewers. They talk and they write. So the person telling the story, they don't have to think about writing about who's important. They're just talking. They're just, speaking in their mind about what they think is the most important information. And the goal of the scribes is to gather as much raw data in as specific a manner as they can. Who specifically? What? Do we know their names? Do we know where their office is? After 5 or 10 minutes of taking notes, each scribe should start to make a little sketch of some of the key actors using whatever schema comes to mind. And you can show them some examples of the concentric circles or the organogram, you could use the 4 quadrants. Right, and so each person should begin to do a little sketching, and then the storyteller continues to talk. You should rotate storytellers every 10 or 15 minutes until you think you have a good first draft of the basic information. Then maybe take a little break, look at each other's sketches, and choose collectively the visual schema you're going to use if you haven't chosen already. Think about the kind of visual language you want, right? The shapes, the colors, the lines, the emojis. Maybe 1 or 2 people take the lead in building the map, and the others, talk and make suggestions. And as you then develop the map, you want to think about IAFA, right? Who has influence, and how do we show the different kinds of influence they have over the problem? Accountability, who are they answering to, both officially and unofficially? Favorability, what do we know about how they feel about us and our goals? And access, who do we have the easiest access to? How do we reach them? What kind of relationships do we have today, and which do we need to build? So this is a workshop you can do in as little as an hour and a half. You could spend a whole day. It depends on how many people you have and the complexity of the problem. And so I begin by thinking about actors because it's normal to think about the question, who has influence? But every so often, as you talk about actors, you're going to talk naturally about processes, about decision-making processes. They might be elections, budgets, laws, administrative processes, other kind of collective moments of decision where you want to think about the steps and when they happen and who's involved in each step. It might be an administrative process like a refugee resettlement, like you see this example here, where you show how one individual moves through the system, or a rite of passage like a circumcision ceremony. And for each process, right, you want to zoom in on who has the most influence in each step. Use the same visual language from the actor schema. So if you use circles, blue circles to talk about moms, you want to use a blue circle in that step in the process map where the mom has some influence. And then you want to note areas of uncertainty where you don't have data. That's really important, and to be upfront about. Here's what we know, here's what we don't know. And then make a plan. Say, okay, how could we do a survey or do interviews or in other ways try to gather data on and fill those gaps. So my last word of advice as you're building these actor maps and process maps and going back and forth and hopefully creating new insights from the collective intelligence of the participants is to always stay humble. Always know that you have a partial vision of the problem. You want to get as diverse a group of people as possible so that you have as many different perspectives, and hopefully we can help each other's blind spots. You never want to be trapped in the official story. You always want to push beyond the surface and see about the personal relationships and formal influence, who interacts with who. This can be way more important than their official status. And know that every map you make is not a final product. It's always a snapshot of what we know today. And so the goal is to combine our collective intelligence with what we know today, and also to show what we don't know, what we need to find out in order to build the wisest strategy, the strongest and most convincing theory of change, and the most effective operational plan that executes that strategy and changes the world. So, merci, bon courage, and I hope to see everybody soon. Good luck.